What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Friday edition of the Fantasy Q&A show. I am Marcus Grant. He is Michael F. Florio. Over there, we got the specialists, the cast of dozens who help us put on this show every single day, every single week. And officially, we are now in fantasy playoff season. We will get to the Thursday night game in just a bit, but the weekend seems to have started off with a bang, at least fantasy-wise, at least for your fantasy stars, I guess.
Yeah, like I have one league where I have Christian McCaffrey. I'm feeling pretty happy about that right now.
Absolutely. A big piece of news, though, comes down on Friday morning, and this a tweet from our own Ian Rappaport. Jets coach Robert Saleh announces that quarterback Zach Wilson will start this week with QB Mike White not healthy enough to go, so it's back to the first rounder. And this is a really big piece of news, Mike, because we'd been very excited about Miguel Blanco. He had been doing some really good things. More importantly, he had elevated guys like Garrett Wilson, like Elijah Moore. We were happy about the running game. So now this throws a wrench, I think, on a lot of things people were hoping to do this weekend.
Yeah, this sucks, to just be straightforward with you. Like, Mike White was my top streaming quarterback of the week. And not only that, I thought he was potentially the top streamer of the fantasy playoffs with how favorable their schedule is. But I can't tell you in good faith to start Zach Wilson, even in a good matchup. So I think you have to pivot. Like, hopefully Matt Ryan is out there. My other top streamer was Brock Purdy behind Ryan. So that's one option gone. Elijah Moore was a sleeper that I know both of us liked. I think he's gone. Garrett Wilson, with the matchup and the volume he's been getting, I think he's still potentially in play, but it depends on your options. He was a must-start for me, though, before that. And then I still think Bam Knight's in play.
I still think Bam Knight's in play because I think they're going to be a little bit more run-heavy. I think for Garrett Wilson, the ceiling obviously comes down. Hopefully the floor stays fairly stable this week. They got the good matchup against the Lions, so hopefully that sort of wins the day. But I'm with you. I'm out on Elijah Moore. I'm out on pretty much, I wasn't really in on Tyler Conklin this week anyway, but now I think I'm definitely out on him. And you're not starting Zach Wilson. Whereas you probably would have been streaming at least Mike White. I know I got a lot of questions about that this morning on Twitter, people wanting to know what they do. And, it's going to be thin out there on the waiver wire, especially because Brock Purdy already played, which, look, you know how this show works. We answer your fantasy questions that you send to us on Twitter at NFL Fantasy. You've got Q's, we've got A's, LFG. Let's get to that Thursday night game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The Niners, a 21-13 winner. In the process, they win the NFC West. They lock up a playoff spot and are guaranteed at least one home game in the postseason. Brock Purdy, nice night for him. 16.5 fantasy points, a pair of touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey getting a lot of work. Over 130 scrimmage yards, nearly 26 fantasy points, and George Kittle having himself a nice day, 25.3 points for him. On the Seahawks side, not a lot of big numbers there, though that was to be expected. Geno Smith, just over 15 points. Kenneth Walker, just shy of 12 fantasy points. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's actually one of the better running back performances against the 49ers this year. Tyler Lockett, 7 for 68. That's 13.8 fantasy points. But the big news with Lockett, suffered a fracture in his finger, is expected to have surgery. Now, the Seahawks are hoping that it's short-term, that maybe he misses a game and can come back for the final two. But there is certainly something in the realm of possibility where he could miss the remainder of the regular season. At that point, is it just DK Metcalf, or is there, do you count on somebody else in that receiving group?
I think DK would get the biggest boost of everyone. Marquise Goodwin, he gets a boost there. He would be more like a sleeper, though. He's not someone that I would be like emphatically trying to get into my starting lineup. It also, I think, dings Geno Smith a bit because Tyler Lockett is a baller.
He's a baller, and his floor was stable. I mean, it was, 7 straight games, I believe it is now, that he had double-digit fantasy points, and he'd had 13 of them, 13 or more points, and a good long run of them. So that's a big loss for the Seahawks. But let's talk about some of the top performers fantasy-wise from this game. And I mentioned Kenneth Walker, 11.9 fantasy points. Doesn't really seem like a whole lot, but the Niners just haven't been giving up that many points to running backs lately. So, in a way, this was kind of a win.
I believe it's the third best game a running back has had against them all season, which just it says more about their defense than anything. And I put on Twitter last night, because Kenneth Walker, whether to start or sit him, was dividing the fantasy community. And I was on the sit side. I sat him where I had him. But he scored just enough points yesterday, 11.9, where both sides could claim victory. Like, if you started him, he didn't crush you. If you sat him, you're fine with it. I'm cool sitting him because I want more upside, and I have that now. But I think what this tells us, one, he looks healthy. You could start him moving forward. But two, like the Commanders get the Niners next week. Sit Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I think I would do that. By the way, you talk about that 11.9 points. I believe he got like 4.5 of them kind of on one play. He had a little catch and run that went for like 30-something yards.
That final drive salvaged his day, Gino's day, like all of the Seahawks.
It did a whole lot. And you talk about the Niners not giving up points to running backs. One of the guys they gave up a whole lot of fantasy points to was Christian McCaffrey. It was sort of like if you can't beat him, join him. They go get Christian McCaffrey. They bring him in, and he has a huge night on Thursday against Seattle. You see that there, 108 rushing yards, 6 catches for 30 yards, did have a rushing touchdown. And I want to highlight him not so much because, I think he's somehow going to get better or, you're going to think more highly of him, but more to kind of point out the fact that now with the injuries in San Francisco, with Jimmy Garoppolo gone, with Deebo Samuel gone, with Elijah Mitchell still banged up, we're getting back to the usage rates for McCaffrey that we saw when he was in Carolina. And it wasn't that long ago, Mike, maybe a couple weeks ago, we were talking about, were we worried about McCaffrey because he wasn't getting as many touches, he wasn't getting as many snaps, the Niners had so many mouths to feed. Well, some of those mouths aren't available right now. So I think for the remainder of the fantasy playoffs, you're going to get the kind of Christian McCaffrey usage you expected when you drafted him number 1 overall. So whereas, 2 weeks ago we were like, he's, kind of, a high end or, like an RB1 kind of mid-range, he's kind of back to being one of the top end running backs in the game.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. And I called him Christian McCheat Code last night because if you have him, I mean, it's hard to lose. And kudos to you and 49ers fans everywhere on what they're doing right now. I did a Twitter Spaces with Cynthia Freeland and Mike Yam this week, and the big topic was like, can they win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy? And I think they're going out right now and proving like they are very much so a contender.
They are still very much a contender now. Where they fit in with, say, the Eagles, the Cowboys, some other teams like that remains to be seen. But there's no reason you have to count them out just because they have their third-string quarterback, which is a weird statement to say. Let's get to some of your questions. Of course, we will answer as many of them here as we can. The rest of them, they go over to our pal Aaron Tan because he doesn't like Brussels sprouts. Let's start with John Castillo, who says, in a 10-team PPR league, who is best to have as a backup quarterback for the playoffs? Dak, Geno, or Deshaun Watson? Jalen Hurts is his starter. So we already know Geno has played, but I guess he's still got a couple more games left this season. Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, or Deshaun Watson, who would you rather have?
I'd rather have Dak Prescott right now. The Seahawks, not only do they not have Tyler Lockett now, they get the Chiefs next week. That's a good match. But then the Jets to end it, that's tough. The Cowboys have the Jags, then the Eagles. You're going to play Jalen Hurts, obviously, in that week. And then the Titans, so 2 very favorable matchups. And Deshaun Watson still working his way back. I just trust Dak more than I do the other 2 right now.
100%, for all the reasons you mentioned. That the Cowboys offense looks like it's starting to kind of get in gear. And I know Dak's been just kind of meh the last couple of weeks, but the matchups are good. Very curious to see what T.Y. Hilton adds. I wouldn't start T.Y. Hilton. I wouldn't even add T.Y. Hilton, but I do think he brings an element to the Cowboys offense that they could use. Next question, this one from Head Stomp, which is sort of aggressive, but anyway. With Kyler Murray going down, my options at quarterback in a 14-team league, Matt Ryan, Daniel Jones, and Brock Purdy. Well, those are pretty good options available in a 14-team league. I'm not going to lie to you. Who would you use this upcoming week?
Purdy played already. I liked Purdy, but I would go with Matt Ryan here. The Vikings have just allowed so much production through the air. They're in the last month, they're in the top 3 in fantasy points allowed to receivers, to quarterbacks, all of that. And I get it. Like, Jonathan Taylor's going to do what Jonathan Taylor does, but the Vikings offense at home is a different offense. So I think the Colts are going to have to put up some points this week.
Yeah, and I said Matt Ryan even before last night's game, and I will stick with Matt Ryan because I would say to say he's been average this season is probably giving him too much credit, but he's been good in a few matchups where they have favored him, and I think this is one of those that favor him. The Vikings have struggled defensively all season long, and the fact that they can put up points means that Ryan, I think, is going to have to throw the football in order to keep the Colts in it. We're just getting started here. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to look at some sleepers and more of your questions. That's next on the Q&A show. It's time for Game Changers, presented by Visa. Anyone can change the game. This is when we talk sleepers. And, full disclosure, You had someone else in this spot, and when the Mike White news came out, you had to make an adjustment. So, who have you pivoted to?
I went from one more to another, from Elijah to Chris, which some of you might be like, who is Chris Moore? He had himself a game last week. He went out. He had like over 20 fantasy points in this game last week against the Cowboys. He caught 10 of 11 targets for 124 yards, and that's the thing. I think he's just a volume type streamer this week because they're playing the Chiefs. Spoiler alert, they're going to be chasing points. So they're going to be having to throw the ball. And right now, it looks like no Nico Collins. This will change if Brandon Cook suits up. He is still expected out right now, but he did return to practice, so got to monitor that. But if those two are out, then Chris Moore is someone that I think you could kind of sneakily get into your starting lineup, and someone that I, as of now, because no Brandon Cooks it looks like, am starting in the league myself this week.
We've all been learning a lot about Chris Moore over the last couple of days. He was drafted in 2016. He went to Cincinnati, was first taken by the Ravens, has sort of bounced around the league, and right now he's actually having a career year. He's just one touchdown away from tying his career high for the season. My Week 15 sleeper, and I really might live to regret this, but it's Cam Akers because he is the best running back in the Rams' backfield. And you see that, the 3 touchdowns over his last couple of games, which, by the way, like our research team does a lot of really good work. And the fact that that was like the best nugget they could come up with for him sort of says a lot about how the Rams' offense has gone, how Cam Akers has gone. But it is going to be brutally cold in Green Bay on Monday night. They're expecting temperatures around 5 degrees in that game, which means it might be hard to throw the football there. The Packer run defense has not been good all year long, so this could be a situation where the Rams lean on Akers a little bit. And even if Baker Mayfield somehow rekindles his magic from the last 5 minutes last week against the Raiders, then maybe that backs some guys up off the line of scrimmage and gives Akers a little bit more room to run. Now, of course, knowing Sean McVay, he could somehow magically turn to Kyren Williams, but I'm banking on the fact that he's still leaning on Cam Akers just because, like I said, he's the best option they've got in the backfield right now. Back to more of your questions over at Twitter. Trent wants to know, Zonovan Knight, Zay Jones, or T. Higgins in the flex if T looks, quote, healthy. Feel like I can't trust T. His injury status has cost me 2 L's and nearly the playoffs. I'll say this. It's not T you can't trust. Right now, it seems like it's his coaching staff that, I don't know, they seemed a little bit, I don't know, what's the word?
Liars.
Okay. About T. Higgins' status. They just didn't seem very forthcoming about T. Higgins this week. So anyway, Zay Jones, Zonovan Knight, T. Higgins, who do you like?
I mean, if we knew T. Higgins was going to play his full allotment of snaps, it would be T. Higgins. He is a risk that I think you have to decide on your own. I originally had Zonovan Knight, and I still like Bam Knight. I understand the Lions have been running better against the run as of late. I had a Lions fan compare them to the 49ers defense in my mentions today. I was like, no, we're not doing that. They've been good, but I think volume still could win the day for Zonovan. But Zay Jones is a fine pivot option as well if you're getting cold feet now with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I think I went with Zonovan Knight here too, Bam, just because I think even with Zach Wilson at quarterback, that means the Jets are maybe a little bit more run heavy. So this could mean more opportunities. And I think we saw last week with Michael Carter back that the division of labor is such that Knight is going to be more of your straight ahead running back. He's going to get the carries. Michael Carter's the guy who catches the ball out of the backfield. It's Knight that really kind of takes over the Breece Hall role in that offense a little bit. Not saying he's Breece Hall, but he's playing really well. And so I think he gets those opportunities this week. Next one from Colin. Do I put in Cam Akers or DJ Moore at the flex? Both have favorable matchups, but who has the most upside? Thoughts?
I like Cam Akers like you, but if we're just talking about pure upside, I think DJ Moore has more. I think Cam Akers brings a safer floor. He's going to get guaranteed touches and stuff there. DJ Moore, we've seen one huge game with Sam Darnold in the toughest matchup for a receiver, and then a huge dud last week. This week, the matchup, I mean, it is what it is, but I think DJ Moore, he's that boom or bust option where you don't know exactly what you're going to get, but if you're talking upside, he does bring that to the table.
He does, and I know my point on Fantasy Live earlier this week was to sort of swing for the fences. I don't love the matchup against the Steelers. They're just sort of middle of the road. Also, Moore is a little bit banged up. They say he's questionable. I think he's going to play, but I do wonder, if he's potentially limited. So I'm going to go with Cam Akers. I just had him as a sleeper, and I said a whole bunch of things about why I think he's a sleeper. All those things still apply now about him against the Packers. The Packers giving up third most rush yards to running backs this season. So I'm gonna stick to my guns here and say that Cam Akers is the guy that you want. Next one from Austin. Half-point PPR. Should I play J.K. Dobbins or Rachaad White?
This is a close one. I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins, though, because the matchup. The Browns have been ran over all year long. And I think it's not looking like we're going to get Lamar. We might not even get Tyler Huntley. The Ravens are going to run the ball a ton. Like, that's what they're going to try to do on offense. So Dobbins could have a game like last week where even if he doesn't catch any passes, he's going over 15 fantasy points with a touchdown just because of volume alone. Again, that's really all it is, I think. The Browns, good matchup and lots of volume.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like Rachaad White's matchup against Cincinnati this week. But I like Dobbins' matchup, and I think he's the play here. I like his matchup. The only thing that worries me is the Ravens just seem intent on using three guys. Last week, it was Dobbins, along with Gus Edwards and Kenyon Drake. Before Dobbins came back, it was Gus Edwards, Kenyon Drake, and Justice Hill. They just seem like they want to rotate three players through there, and that's the part that scares me, that Dobbins is just going to have to split those opportunities. But he has a far better matchup to me than Rachaad White does. We're not done. We still have a slate of Saturday games to get to. Of course, you can see all of those, too, on NFL Network. We'll talk about that and a little bit more when we come back on the Fantasy Q&A show. Back on the Q&A show, let's answer some questions rapid fire. First off, this one coming from Michael. Is Rex Burkhead without Pierce and Benjamin a must start, or is it a trap?
It's a trap. Rex Burkhead is never a must start. Dare Ongombawale had more snaps than him last week.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a must start. I like him as a sleeper, but he's definitely not a must start at all, either without either those guys there. Next one from Dustin. Dak at Jacksonville or Justin Fields against the Eagles? Leaning toward Dak, but I have a feeling I could regret it.
I'm playing Fields. Fields is a must start regardless of matchup right now.
He has been so good. I'm going with Justin Fields. By the way, our guy Joel Smith did a great video breakdown of Justin Fields and what has made him so good. Yes, Sam, pump your fist because you edited the hell out of that thing. Go check it out. It's on our Twitter account at NFL Fantasy. Last one here. This one from W. Chowdhury asking, assuming he plays, Dallas Goedert or Dalton Schultz?
I'll take the shot on Dalton Schultz there. I like the matchup better. The Eagles could easily ease Dallas Goedert in if they activate him.
Yeah, I like Dalton Schultz a lot this week. I like him throughout the fantasy playoffs, to be honest with you. And I'm not sold that Dallas Goedert's going to play quite this week. Let's take a look ahead to the Saturday slate of games. There are 3 games, all of them on NFL Network. It starts with the Vikings and the Colts. And who do you have your eye on in this matchup?
Michael Pittman Jr., partially because I have him on multiple fantasy teams and partially because I think he's going to have a really good game. He's their best deep threat. He gets the most volume there, and it is a great matchup against the Vikings, who have allowed a ton of production to receivers.
I like Michael Pittman Jr. for sure this week. I also kind of like Paris Campbell as a sleeper. I'm paying attention to Dalvin Cook in this game, and this is a guy who's probably disappointed you based on where you drafted him. It hasn't really been a lot of big blow-up games for him, but this is a really good opportunity. One, because the matchup is good, and also because the Vikings trying to lock down their playoff spot. I think this is when you lean on your stars, and Dalvin Cook is one of their stars. Next up is Ravens and the Browns. That's the middle game on the slate, 4 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network, streaming on NFL Plus. Who are you looking out for in that one?
Another player that I have on a lot of fantasy teams, David Njoku, who missed some time, but besides that, he has been awesome. Since week 3, he is the tight end 2, averaging 13.5 fantasy points per game. He had a lot of volume from Deshaun Watson last week. I don't expect that to change. Unless you have Travis Kelce, I would be starting him over any other tight end.
So you got the tight end on the Browns side. I'm looking at the tight end on the Ravens side, and that's Mark Andrews. And part of it is just because I'm just hoping he breaks out of this slump. You see that. No receiving touchdowns in 6 straight games. Longest streak since his rookie season. But there's really nowhere else to go with the football in the passing game. So I don't care whether it's Tyler Huntley or Anthony Brown. I feel like they've got to get Mark Andrews more heavily involved in the passing game there. And there are a few guys that have his ceiling. So even though the floor has been very unstable lately, I think you still got to go with him and hope for the best. Last game up, Dolphins and the Bills. That one at 8 p.m. Eastern. And who are you keeping an eye on in what could be a very cold and potentially snowy game this week?
There's a theme here. I'm going to talk about Stephon Diggs, who is literally my most rostered player in fantasy this season. And the real thing is, to start Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, but outside of those two, I think I get away from all my Bills in this one. I don't want to trust the running backs. I don't want to really trust Gabe Davis if I don't have to. Dawson Knox is just like a tight end dependent streamer. It's not nearly as fantasy friendly as we thought this offense might be.
So that makes me really worried about saying I'm keeping my eye on James Cook in this one. And this is more about sort of the situation here, right? Because the Dolphins have been giving up some points to running backs. What sort of worries me is the fact that Cook is splitting time with Devin Singletary, and Nyheim Hines is also kind of showing up there in the offense. But Cook is the most explosive of that group, and he's the guy who's going to get some targets as well. So I'm hoping that kind of carries the day, and maybe he can pop a big play and maybe find his way into the end zone. But it is a scary situation to deal with the Bills' backfield.
Thinking they're going to unleash him because Sean McDermott is very big on the rookie wall. So my thinking has been like they're saving him for late in the season, but they keep just like being weird with it.
They've been very weird with it. Sean, please give us some clarity. That's all we ask, just a little bit of clarity. One thing is clear, though, and that is that Saturday football returns to the NFL on December 17th, and NFL Network is your home for an exclusive triple header. The Colts take on the Vikings at 1 p.m. Eastern, followed by Ravens-Browns at 4 p.m. Then a huge divisional showdown in prime time as the Dolphins battle the Bills at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a Saturday showdown triple header all day Saturday, December 17th, only on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus. As we wrap things up, it's time to take a look around the World Wide Web. And we mentioned it's going to be cold in Buffalo. And Shaq Lawson taking no chances with the cold this week in Buffalo. Was he wearing like a trench coat under his jersey? He looks like Inspector Gadget.
Like a North Face.
That's like, so he's got the North Face with the fur on the hood there. And he somehow managed to put a jersey over the top of that. That's impressive.
It's a dude who's played his whole career in Buffalo and New York, by the way. And head coach Mike McDaniels, love you. He's putting on his Instagram notes like, I wish it was colder. He's saying the cold's only a factor if you let it be a factor. I used to work snow removal out in the cold. I don't think you know how snow and cold work, Mike McDaniel.
I also love the fact that, Tua Tagovailoa this week has been like, hey, guys, it snowed in Alabama. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb. And look, and I'm saying this as a native Californian who wants no part of snow. Snow and Vegas are the same. Like, after 3 days, I'm done with both of them. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that, the cold and snow in Alabama is a little bit different than the lake effect snow you're going to get off Lake Erie there in western New York. Just throwing that out there.
We're soft LA guys now,
Absolutely.
weather-wise. They had a heater in SoFi
They had
last
a heater
week.
in SoFi.
It's going to be much different in Buffalo,
You're going to tell me that you're going to be okay in Buffalo if you had a heater in Inglewood last week?
60 degrees.
Come on. I'm a fan of you, but bruh.
Same.
Come on. Come on. All right. I feel like that's a good place to put a bow on this one. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Of course, as I always mention, you subscribe to one show, you get all 5 of them in your podcast feed. You can check us out in the NFL Fantasy app, on the Fast channels, and at YouTube.com. Also, check us out on Sunday for NFL Fantasy Game Day starting at noon Eastern Time. Of course, you can keep sending us your questions at NFL Fantasy. In the meantime, enjoy Week 15. Good luck in the playoffs, and we'll talk to you next week.
I did it.